Hey everyone, Chicken Eater here with Shiny. We're going to do the season 144 check-in. This is 10 days into the season, so we're about a third of the way there, or the glass is two-thirds empty. And we're going to go over what's been happening in the season, talk about some recent changes in the game that impacted some players, and look at some setups coming from all our favorite nobles of high descent. So I guess to introduce this podcast here, we took all our paths to buy level 20. So, Shani, how'd you do it? What was your strategy to get there?
I did the 10 attacks. I almost always do 10 attacks, you know. I did a lot less rogues. I didn't do a troglodyte this season, which is the first time since we've introduced the troglodyte that I haven't used it, I think. And I skipped it, and I've got a pretty strong 14 setup, but 10 attacks, and I think I'm leading away amongst those who have 10 attacks, but it's been perfect so far. I haven't had to attack outside of the top 15, so I'm feeling pretty good about where I'm at right now.
That's awesome. So, what makes you pick 10 attacks over 9 or 11? Do you just think it's more comfortable?
Yeah, I'm more comfortable doing it. It hasn't worked out yet, but I'm going to try a more traditional setup at by level 20 and see where it takes me. But I like going 10 just because I feel that if you're playing it perfectly, that you should come out ahead is like my philosophy there. Like, you know, when you take your 9 attacks, you're attacked down every day. So in theory, if I can perfectly build a good setup at the final buy level, I should never fall behind. Like, yeah, you'll have 2 days of buy level 20 mercs under your belt, but I should be able to maintain pace, keep one attack ahead of you as we flip forward, and I should be able to keep it, is my theory there. It hasn't worked out, but that's the goal.
Gotcha. So it's like 9 o'clock for me right now. I'm a little tired, so I'm sitting here listening to this guy tell me that 10 is better than 9, and I'm like, yeah. Like I'm like agreeing with him, and I'm like, no, I don't want this. I don't want to be. Yeah, I don't want to die. So who knows what's going to happen? I think that's the cool part of HD. We'll talk about another interesting thing that happened today. That it just makes you wonder, like, how do you actually anticipate results in HD? Because so many things require human input, and yeah, you'll never really know. I'm convinced 9 is good because I like to spend the most time with my mercenaries, but it's it's becoming harder and harder to rush 9 with 2 mercs. That's kind of like the traditional chicken eater style that I've been playing the past few decades, few years, few decades. But yeah, it's becoming harder and harder because people can get mercs faster. You know, you can just double your mercs with 1 point. So it's pretty tough. And my friend Beck, who plays the same style, also experienced that. And so we talk a lot, and like we secretly whine about how difficult it is. But yeah, the 4 merc people rushing are also doing a great job. And I think 9 is really solid. 11 is like classic HD. You know, when I first started playing HD, people said 11 was the sweet spot, and it was just that was it. And so I grew up playing that and like respecting that as like the number one thing. So 10 is really interesting. 10 is fascinating.
Frost did call it like no man's land today before he like put it together that I had 10 attacks.
Because it's odd, right?
Right.
What do you do with the point? You just chill?
Yeah, I'm holding it right now. I mean, that'll get me to buy level 20 tomorrow. So I have the 4th merc slot, and then I'll be 20 tomorrow, which should be ahead of most people. I think with 10 attacks probably have a salary, just because salary is so beefy right now.
Salary's great. People are earning a lot of money. Yeah, it'd be funny next April. Like the blacksmith is like, yeah, sorry guys. Like there's like a serious case of gold inflation. Like we're gonna need to adjust these prices.
Like, raw iron is 3 times the price it was last year.
Yeah, I've run out of swords. Like, sorry guys, but yeah, people are rolling in it with the resources, and that's really good. People are getting more stuff. So we have a few different paths to buy level 20, as we've already kind of hinted to. We have 9 attacks, 10 attacks and 11 attacks. So do you want to maybe talk about the 10 attacks crew? We got Achilles, Ayoba, Shiny, I guess yourself, Mark, Spartan, Charity, Charna. Like, what differences are there in their gameplay and their builds? Do you notice, and how does it compare to what you're doing?
Well, see, I didn't know Achilles had 10 attacks because he's been in that 9 attack crew for forever. And then he's pretty behind for having 10 attacks right now. So he must have added it later than most of the 10 attackers did.
He didn't know either. He added it by accident.
Yeah, see,
So-
that's rough. Like, the misclick 10... I mean, that's a lot of points to misclick away, so that kind of hurts. But looking at, let's see, Ayoba and Mark. Mark has been... It's not a name I remember, but he's been strong this season. It's nice to see...
He's been quiet.
Yeah, it's nice to see new names in the list that haven't been around.
Yeah. Yeah. It looks like I'm spying Mark right now, and it looks like he had a level 6 Wanderer, and he sold. I'm sure he's not by level 20, so I think he found something in the merchant. He must have discovered something. You otherwise don't sell a level 6 Wanderer, right? Because it spikes really hard at 7.
Right.
Like, that's when you get those nice knives, and you're just like, I'm going to kill everyone. So it's really interesting. I guess maybe he bought one of my mercs.
Yeah.
I don't know. I only had 2, so yeah, not too bad, not too bad.
I mean, maybe it wasn't getting results for him, It's only level 6. Maybe it kept dying alongside the other, because they're all 12, 11. Oh, they're all by level 9s, though. So,
yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah, and then, interesting, we have 117 Spartan. And then we have Charity and Charna. So these guys are consistent HD players. They are staples in the HD rankings, and it's really interesting. Were they this high up before? Like, have they started to get serious?
Charity and Charna have been up there. Last season, there was a point where Knights of the Round was 1 through 5 around this point of the season, because they all had, the 10, 11 attacks. We were all ahead of that, 9 attack crew, so, we had that false confidence being like, hey, we're in the top 5 15 days before the season's over.
Yep. That's funny. Yeah, so they're really playing a pretty good game. I know they don't lose attacks a lot because maybe mostly they're attacking amongst themselves. But it looks like they're still keeping it together pretty good. Like, Spartan is number 5 in the race right now. It looks like, he has a level 1 Duke and a level 1 Legionnaire in the spy, so maybe he needs to put a little effort into leveling it and won't attack so high, but he's done a great job.
Yeah, and Charity and Charna it looks like they made it to by level 14. For some reason, I thought they were sticking at 9, but I'm seeing in Charity Spy by level 14 Axiom.
Yeah, totally. It's really funny. Like, my expectation of these players is they stay at lower by levels for a long time, and then they eventually, like, you don't pay attention, and they're eventually at final buy level, and then they have, like, 14 mercs.
Right, precisely.
Right? And then they kill, like, Frost, like, just from out of nowhere. So, yeah, it's
they
really
learned some
interesting.
lessons because Charity sold the Scout today, and I think they kept their Scout into the buy level 20 time last season, so...
They're evolving. Have they been talking to you guys at all in Discord or the boards?
It's so sporadic. They'll come in and say something like once a week and then not respond to anything that they said or asked. Then there was one day we woke up and Charity and Charna had gone back and forth with like 10 messages on the Alliance board. And then that was the last we've heard from them. That was 2 weeks ago now.
Do you think they're the same person?
I always did, but the fact that they had a discussion amongst themselves was really strange if they're the same person. They brought, like they're asking for feedback on the game. They thought we should implement some sort of prediction algorithm to see who the system thinks is going to win the season. Like, it was very interesting stuff that they were talking about.
Yep.
I don't think English is their first language, because you could tell they used a translator. Well, actually, somebody told me that they didn't think so, because they called a merc a cleric, and I was just like, that's really strange. They must have translated the name in HD into another language and then maybe translated it back, and that's where the word cleric came from. But there's also a game called Heroes 3 that they play because their names match characters in this Heroes 3 game, and there might be a cleric in that game.
Gotcha. Interesting. All right. Yeah, it's good to see them moving up. These players are essential for the community. They've been a staple in HD. Like, they just keep going, even when times are tough and they're like 2 players. It's Charity and Charna. Right. So, yeah, it's really cool to see. Now let's turn our attention to the 11 attacks people. We got Azrael, Jib, Renegade Monk, the Ella, Nova, Ivory, Scotty Dog, and Donut. And in my outline, I put Donut in bold because Donut's done something really interesting. So maybe let's wrap up the 11 attacks people and then do a segment on Donut, because I think he needs his own section for this thing. I think all these people, like Ella is a more classic player. Monk likes a lot of attacks. Ivory, Nova seem like more classic players. Like, these are players that normally play 11, right?
Yeah.
And we got Azrael did it. He was chilling with 2 mercs for a very long time, and then he got 4, kind of in the middle. And I see Jib is having 2 dukes. This is a whipman and this is a knife man. Yeah, I hope Jib is okay. Like, a lot of his mercs have, they're named after like drinking references. So, heavy drinker, just drinker, regular drinker, weekend drinker. Hope he's all right. And there seems to be a lot of knifemen and whipmen everywhere. Like, Renegade Monk is like that.
Yes.
And Azrael is building like a normal triangle, except the mounted merc is an attacking merc that he sold. So maybe it's all different. Ivory and Scotty Dog are triangles. For some odd reason, Ivory has 3 mercs, which maybe he's transitioning. And
maybe
Scotty
he doesn't
Dog
have any salary, because it's very hard to afford 4 mercenaries if you don't have that salary point.
That's true. And then Scotty Dog, I think, purchased Bagel's Duke.
Okay.
Yeah. So that level 12 Duke is in his team right now, and it is massive.
Yeah, we were having that discussion today that Scotty Dog and Renegade Monk 2 are very anti-meta players. They like to have fun. They like to go against the grain and have more fun. And, Monk, he's the one person I don't think I've attacked this season just because, I'm a rogue heavy player. I love the rogue.
Yeah.
And he has the anti-rogue right now, and I can't risk attacking him.
Yeah, his knifeman was so obscenely powerful, it just made no sense. I eventually started attacking him, but it always makes you want to attack him last if you are fighting him. You just don't want to touch him. Scotty Dog was talking about how he wants to play a serious season. And so I actually asked him, what do you think is the main thing that's stopping you from winning HD? So he said, just lack of motivation trying to win HD. So I'm okay. And he thought it was a cop-out answer, to which I replied, not really. If you actually haven't tried, it's an acceptable answer, right? Because you don't get unless you're X, you don't win HD randomly for just not trying, right? I'm convinced he just smurfed his way up there and didn't try. But you don't do it by accident. As we learned from the previous podcast with Forshard, dude put a lot of thought into how to approach the game, and I think if anyone's winning in this competitive climate, they're going to have to think a lot about how the game works and stuff.
Precisely. So, that's something that they'll learn from watching Frost do his attacks. Is Frost doesn't just play the game willy-nilly. He's very methodical. He had a spreadsheet with, before he even did a single attack, he knew which order he was going to attack 9 people in, which is very impressive.
Yeah, I do more or less the same thing, but in my head.
Right.
And sometimes, depending on how the game changes, you can change the positions of the attacks. But it really puts, it puts your mind at ease knowing it on the sheet, knowing that you highlighted this column green because it's easy. Yeah. So definitely use more spreadsheets, and maybe after we build out the game more, maybe this sort of organizational tool can be incorporated into the game. Yeah.
I'm always open to improving the registry because I know you've had some
Yeah.
ideas that are written down somewhere, but the
Yeah.
registry is something that can be improved always.
Yes. 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 Could be a premium registry. It'll be the best registry.
Well, I know you don't
So
use the beta yet, but the registry showing the top 50 really makes it
yeah.
a much stronger tool.
Yeah. I use the beta about 1% of the time because I'm checking how much experience I get from an alliance battle. But yeah, I do see the top 50. I've played multiple days on the beta. Yeah, it's just my eyes just don't not used to it yet. But I'm gonna force myself eventually. Yeah. Um, but yeah, really interesting builds, and hopefully these guys, will see some pressure when they climb closer to the top, and that's what I told Scotty Dog in our like brief conversation. I told him like, yeah, the first step to winning HD is you actually have to try to win HD.
Yes.
But when you actually try to win HD, a lot of new things are going to go wrong that you've never seen before because you've never actually contested for a top spot. So, like, for example, like every day you have to play with really thin margins. You're basically like, if you're rushing with like lower number of attacks, you have to do the bare minimum to win all your attacks and then invest everything in buy level. It's not like, you have four mercs and you just overkill everyone or, something like that. You're actually just doing the bare minimum to get by to use those points toward buy level. And so, yeah, doing that is tough. Target selection at the end, like, if you're racing a guy who's number one, who's like 200 points ahead of you, and they're winning every one of their attacks every day, puts a ton of pressure on you to try to do the same thing. And then it just feels really bad if you lose one of those attacks because it just makes you feel even worse. And that type of panic when you feel helpless against the person that's going full momentum feels really bad. And if you don't have any experience feeling that and you're playing for first, it can surprise you how bad it feels to to do that, and yeah, it's very competitive near the top. So yeah, definitely recommend anybody who has even 1% like interest in trying it to just try it and see how it feels, because I think it makes you a sharper player overall. And even if you don't play every season like you want to win it, at least you'll have stronger fundamentals that you can use to build anti-meta or do fun stuff. Yeah. All right. So Donut here, his name is Bold. Donut has done a really creative thing, which is to stay by level 14 forever.
Wow. The jib from last season.
The jib from last season, except I think he's staying with 4 mercs. So he has less than half of Jib's mercs.
Okay.
So like, how do you feel about that? What's your like first impression of a strategy like this?
I mean, I feel like that's something that can't work unless several people stick at 14. That's just what I feel. Maybe you can make up for some of that with salary, because if he sticks at 14, that's 6 points that he has that we don't have. That, I mean, if he puts a couple in salary, that maybe all of his allocations going to accuracy and agility can be supplanted with those salary, based enhancements. I don't know. I don't think it's possible unless like 10 people stick at 14 or something.
Yeah, I don't think it's possible to win, but I think it's possible to have fun and do something that no one's ever done before.
Yes.
Jib spent all those points on getting more mercs, but the mercs didn't feel like they were very enhanced. But Donut's mercs are going to be juiced because he has only 4 of them. He can give them a lot of attention, and I know he has multiple salary points. So, for every 5 points of defense growth he gets per level, he's spending tens of thousands of gold on his mercs.
Yeah.
That he's getting every day through his salary.
Yeah.
He will eventually hit diminishing returns on these mercenaries, but I think he said like these legionnaires reached over 300 defense today.
Yeah, he mentioned that to me as well. And if it's got, a couple more agility points in there, he's probably got the strongest defense in the game right now.
Totally. Yeah, totally. Like, it's no joke. And we'll see what happens a week from now. And, people have big fat executioners. But Yeah, it's really interesting, and this is what I was referencing when I said in the beginning of this podcast. It's really hard to anticipate what the future will look like. It's just so hard to calculate like the end result of this with any level of certainty.
Right.
So yeah, we will see. He's rushing. He's gotten 11 attacks because what he's doing now is he's increasing the number of attacks he has. So he's just he's on his way. And
Yeah,
we'll
at
see
first I
where
was
he
like
ends up.
11. He went to 11 attacks today, I believe, and I was just like,
Yeah.
that's a really late arrival to 11 attacks, which I thought was a mistake. But if he's sticking at 14,
That's
you know,
the
it
only
opens up a
direction
whole
we can go.
lot of possibilities.
Yeah. Yeah, really interesting. Really interesting. So shout outs to Donut for being a pioneer. And I hope it doesn't end too badly because I don't know if it's possible. I'm just scared because by level 14 mercs are
Right, it's going to be a challenge. It's going to be a challenge for
Could be
him.
a challenge. Could be a challenge. Yeah, for sure. Cool. Okay. And then the 9 merc people, you know, there's two parts. There are people who rushed with 2 mercs and then people who rushed with 4 mercs. The 2 merc people are a minority. We got myself, Cheech, Beck, the Rad, Bagel. Hopefully Beck can come back and play. I think he got discouraged by some things in the game. And yeah, he's a good player, very good player. And I've just started talking to him a lot more recently on voice chat and text chat. Really cool dude. And, you know, I know like his reputation is a little funny because sometimes he'll say some aggressive stuff in, you know, on Discord about him being the best and how like no one's ever competitive with him and stuff. But like if you actually get to know him, he's a really cool dude.
Yeah.
Like he's so chill. Like I love Beck. So I hope he comes back.
Yeah, I hope he plays today. He hasn't played yet today. I know he was discouraged with a
Yeah.
loss yesterday, and I'm sure that mixed with basically being targeted for a game patch kind of hurts.
Yeah, the patch affected 3 people. He's one of the 3 people.
Right.
So yeah, it's never comfortable, but we'll get into that a bit later. So definitely stick around so we can talk about a serious game patch that occurred recently. And then Lancelot, Cantaloupe, Weed Wizard, Frost, Foreshard, Too Dark, Crush of Demons, Elation, probably, Ngibby 3239. These are 4 mercs. And there's also Mystic Butterfly. So this is the most breaking news. Mystic Butterfly is now a butterfly. He's no longer a caterpillar. So what's your first impression of this? Like, he took 10 years to do this, by the way.
10 years to evolve, huh?
Yes.
Which that is something. I'm interested to see where this goes. I wonder if his gameplay will evolve with it.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, maybe this is the player that's going to win HD. Yeah. I don't know. He took a nosedive last season because he went by level 27, but
Well, I can make a shout out to Lancelot right here because he is leading the 9 attack group right now. You know, go Knights of the Round. So he is top of the pack of these 9 attack players.
yes. Yeah, Lancelot's doing real good. And we want to definitely see what he builds at by level 20. I expect it to be a 2 merc front line with a knight and an archer. But I don't know. We'll see it tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So the alliances. Let's check in on the alliances and see what's going on. It's the red team, the green team, and the blue team, and then there's the other blue team, which is Halo, led by Spartan. Spartan, I don't know if he's playing all the accounts in this alliance, but you know, it's yeah, it's pretty cool.
Holy cow,
like,
he's
they're
tied
doing
with
it.
Knights of the Round. This is the first time I'm looking at the ranks of them.
Yeah, right. That's crazy. And then it's really good to see the Dandelion Monks up there.
I
Like the
agree.
Dandelion Monks is, yeah, definitely. It's not full. Like there's a spot there, so if you want an alliance, definitely write to Renegade Monk, who I believe runs the alliance. But there are some people in there that are very active. Marduk's in there, Elation, like Nova, Scotty Dog. Yeah, it's all good. Oh, have you seen the battle log between Dandelion Monks and Get High Descent?
Let's see. It probably won't be on their thing. Let me see.
Yeah, it's on Get High Descent.
Get High
It's
Descent.
absolutely. Yeah, so That's a one-man alliance. So this one is so crazy. So like I can understand like a one-man team fighting a bunch of multis, but I believe like Dandelion Monks is most, if not all, actual humans.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is so crazy.
They're just falling like flies.
He's doing it. Oh my goodness. He's doing it.
Imagine what this would have been worth before the patch.
Yeah, and this is precisely why we need to figure this out.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that.
Sure.
So yeah, so I guess I'll begin by identifying the problem. Okay, so the problem is that one-man alliances can kind of overclock the system and earn triple the number of points that a full alliance can. And there's no difference between attacking, that multi-alliance with like bi-level 0 mercs and Dandelion Monks. They're like worth basically the same. But if you let a one-man alliance build in a way such that they can defeat that multi-alliance, they're getting away with like 300 experience point, victories compared to like the 120 that full alliances can generate, which is a very, very big problem, because if you get a player as skilled as Beck or Weed Wizard or Cunning Cantaloupe to... I feel so weird saying these names. Sorry, I hope we don't get like demonetized or like flagged or something. Like you see the Weed Wizard. Yeah, these players are obviously very experienced players. They're rushing with 9 attacks, like they know what they're doing, and they're preying on the weaker alliances for XP. And so something needed to be done in order to kind of offset that. And it's always really difficult to do this during a season, because like pulling the rug under a person's feet during a season, I guess like while they're walking is the analogy, is really uncomfortable and weird. But games do hotfix things. Like game developers do provide hotfixes if something is threatening, the integrity of the game or the spirit of the game. Like that's an emergency in the gaming sense. So could you maybe explain to the viewers like what it was changed to, so they can better visualize how much experience they're getting?
Yeah, essentially the formula would take the total saved nobility points for the alliance you're attacking, and divide that by the number of people in your alliance. And so if you're the only one in there, dividing by 1 basically is dividing by nothing, and divided by 10, it's got some square roots in there, so it's not 10 times more experience, but it was 3 to 4 times depending on how the numbers worked out. And so, I mean, we just decided that was too much, especially at the bi-level 20 endgame. If you put that in the hands of somebody like, Beck, or if you yourself decided, hey, everybody else in my alliance, you're gone, I'm going to I'm going to become my one-man alliance so I can level just up my bi-level 20s to level 20 tomorrow, because that's essentially what it is. It's impressive that one person can take on an entire alliance. If it wasn't so, this guy just took out Renegade Monk's alliance, which is extremely impressive, because Renegade Monk is not a slouch. There's not, that's a good alliance.
Yeah.
But because of the multi-alliances, it's very easy to attack somebody and be getting 300 experience for your mercenaries, when the best any other alliance can do is like 130.
Yeah. And, I think part of the spirit of the game is to have full alliances. So it, definitely, makes it weird, because like if I see someone doing that, I'm just going to kick everyone or leave. Yes. And it's just really weird because it fractures the community.
I agree.
And makes it a little awkward. So You know, it's really hard to make hard and fast rules about this because there is like the computer doesn't sense a difference between like the multi alliance and Renegade Monk's team.
Yeah.
Like mathematically, it's the same thing, but in reality, it's a huge difference. It's so much harder to kill Renegade Monk's team versus not Renegade Monk's team.
Yeah.
Right. And I wish our system was smart enough to know that, or it had some sort of like way to calculate the difficulty of the enemy players to factor that into an account.
Yeah.
Because honestly, I think if someone is like, if their team is built like a total raid boss and they can like kill like 9 humans, they should be compensated in some sense. Right, because it's like playing HD on hard mode.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And like the presumption would be that most people cannot do that.
Correct.
But at the same time, if you knew that going in, you can just like half-ass 9 accounts onto one alliance and have that as like fodder for your one-man alliance.
Right.
Like you don't want to turn that into like your way of playing HD either. So yeah, it's tough because like some people really do want the benefits of an alliance but don't want to play with anybody.
Yeah.
Like they're entitled to do that. If you own an alliance, you're entitled to exclude other people from your team. It's your alliance. Or maybe they want to play with 1 or 2 buddies that they know in real life and don't want strangers. So I think we need to rethink the entire system. It was just kind of an emergency during this time to kind of solve very quickly because it would have caused a lot of people to become very frustrated. And but at the same time, it did affect 3 players that probably, I don't know what exactly they were expecting. I know at least 1 or 2 of them knew that they would be earning more and perhaps wanted to be put in that position. So I don't really know. It's a gray area. I know people in the development team are talking about whether it's their fault or not, or who was right and who was wrong. But this is a difficult position for everybody. And so
nobody was, I don't think anybody was wrong in their argument that it was a little bit of an unfair thing because I'm going to just talk about Beck because he's really the main one that started the season with the strategy of having a solo alliance so he could get to this point and do more. So it is a little unfair to him, but it's also like unfair to everybody that he can attack a multi-alliance and get triple the experience. Like it's not what we wanted in the game, and we want it to be a level playing ground. And I do think that you should be rewarded for being able to attack Renegade Monks Alliance and win because that is an impressive feat. So there is something to be until this season. The Alliance battle formula was a black box that I had never even looked at. That is something that the creator Aaron put in however many years ago and has never been touched. We had it almost was random. Even up until this season, we didn't know how many points we'd get before attacking somebody. We would just guess and attack the strongest alliance we could because we knew we would probably get the most amount of experience, but we had no idea if that was true or not until after the battle was over.
Yeah, definitely not a science, right?
Yes.
Yeah, not a science. And also like it's maybe a note for later. It's also hard to spy alliances because you have to spy their members individually.
It is. So, it's very difficult.
Yeah. So it's interesting. Maybe we can just develop the whole alliance battle system. Again when we have an opportunity.
Yes.
It just kind of sucked that this was, kind of in the middle of a season and we had to make this change. Okay. So by level 20 is coming up. You haven't hit yet, right?
No, I'll be there after an attack. 2 attacks tomorrow.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so I've hit. I'm playing almost the same build as last season. I'm convinced that is like a sound build. So I'm just improving on that concept. Yep. And then we will see some, we'll be able to see by level 20 spies tomorrow. So if you want to see people, the 9 attack guys and their setups, you can go take a look. I assume that it's going to be Axe, Rogue, Bow, Knight. Because that is a really sound, logical, stable setup. Just keep in mind that it's very logical. So like one player is definitely, it's not like one player is copying another. That's just a good setup.
Yeah, after the 4-shard interview, I left that interview thinking I was going to play 2 Axemen this season. I was going to go double Axe. Just because, we were kind of back and forth when we were talking about it, because his Axeman was by far his strongest merc, and the rogue died, but he wasn't pitting the rogue, so was that, we'd have to look at it, if the rogue had 5 extra levels on it or so, would it be as weak as it felt for him that season or not? So...
Yeah, and if he had pit the rogue exclusively, would it be as effective as a strong Axeman?
Right.
Yeah. We find out. Eventually. Yeah. We'll find out. Yeah, maybe if you give the rogue all the attention, it'll turn out different. Yeah. So what are you thinking by level 20? Think you get there tomorrow, right?
I do. I'll be there after an attack, and then I'm thinking... obviously I'll have a bow and a defensive knight. And then, because of my original plan was 2 axes. Just because it seemed like those were, it's interesting. I've always been a strong believer in the skill stats. Like, accuracy and agility always were, you can't buy enhancements for those. You can't add to them. So allocating those were always my way to go. I always wanted to have more agility on my defenders than defense. Just because that made sense to me. But just watching these last 2 seasons, Azrael was the one who really built the crazy, medium agility but ridiculous defense. I think it was an Axeman last season. And it worked.
I think it was Dadak.
It was Dadak? Okay.
Yeah, Dadak's Executioner, I think, had the most defense out of every Executioner.
Right. It just seems that critical hits are so rare. And now that if you have 2...
yeah.
Well, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
You can't rely on critical hits to win battles. And so now, if you have 2 defenders, having them survive... I don't know. It's a really tough thing to balance, because a lot of defense has been really good, but the longer the battles go later in the season, the more critical hits that are happening. So I don't know, I'm talking myself in circles here, trying to figure out what I'm going to do tomorrow now.
But that's HD.
That's exactly.
Maybe there is no right answer. Maybe you just got to play HD and find out.
That's right. I'm going double rogues then, with high agility and medium defense.
Oh, it's just a recipe for disaster. That's so dangerous. Yeah, if you enhance enough, there's no difference between a rogue and an Axeman.
Yep.
Yeah.
And now the speed,
an
I think the speed is slightly tweaked this season for the rogues. I don't know what it is offhand, but the rogue might be slightly slower than the Axeman this season.
I can find out. It's kind of negligible.
What's the difference between -14 and -15 speed, really?
Yeah, so it's 23 versus 25.
Okay.
And then we just have to compare the weapons.
The weapons are almost equal when it comes to lower speed.
Okay, so yeah, the rogue reaches negative speed maybe 1 or 2 levels faster because it's 23 versus 25.
Okay, so negligible.
Negligible, yeah. Negligible is such a hard word to say.
I got it right the first time. I'm proud of myself.
Negligible. Okay, nice. So, last thing is got some predictions for the top 5. So, what do you think? Who's top 5 for you? It's okay to be wrong because we're still 20 days late.
I'm feeling good about where I'm at. I'm ahead of the 10 attack gang right now, and like I said, I feel if you play perfectly, you should be able to beat the 9 attack gang. You should stay ahead of them, and they should never be able to catch up. So I'm putting myself in the top 5. And then, Jib seems focused this season. He's got some weird mercs in there, but my philosophy when it comes to basically we've been transitioning for the first 10 days of the season. How many mercs actually make it to be 3 days old? It's not many. So basically any merc you pick, you can win because you're transitioning, you're ahead of somebody you're attacking. That 1 day advantage on everybody else based on, attacking saves mercenary stats is way more at the beginning of the season than it is at the end. That's why I feel the beginning of the season is super easy and nobody should ever lose. But I know it happens.
It happens. It happens. These mercs have really crappy job security. Like when you were saying like these guys last for no more than like 2 or 3 days, I'm like, oh my goodness, that's right, that's true. Like I would hate to be an HD merc. Like I'm just a big axe dude, and then some caterpillar is like, okay, you get speed before I sell you.
My point is that Jib seems focused this season. You can dismiss his weird setup so far, but he's played multiple accounts in the past, and they're not playing this season. He's got Jib and only Jib. So I'm excited to see him finish, because if he plays seriously, Jib is a scary player. So I've got him.
Jib's good.
Yep. Azrael has been 11 attacks. He's determined to make it a work. I think he can make the top 5 work. And then I've always got to put you and Frost in there because it's you and Frost.
So this is an important question. Why no Forshard?
That's a good question.
Especially after getting to know him and like how he thinks about the game and what he did last season to do, that great result. Like, why not him?
Yeah, I mean, one, like the said about Jib, I think if Jib is serious, Jib's going to be scary. Okay. I feel the 10 attacks are going to take down the 9 attacks. And yes, he did beat you and Frost this year, the last season. But I know that you and Frost, take that personally is not the right way to phrase that, but you're going to learn from what went wrong last season. Frost is going to learn, and you guys better than anybody in the game pretty much are going to be stronger than you were the season before. And I just believe that you guys are going to do that. That and, like, I mean, I talk to Forshard every day in our alliance. We still have a very active alliance board. I haven't... there's no way to say this without making it sound like a burn, but it's not a burn. I haven't reached Forshard in the spy list this year for my targets. And that, it's kind of that out of sight, out of mind thing. And that's really what it comes down to for the top 5.
I mean, you're talking about a fact. Like, at this point in time, like, it's not worth attacking him, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Like, it's not worth attacking me either for most of the time. Like, you might spy me because you're curious, but attacking me is not worth your time.
I think I had to tack all the way down to you once this season. That was...
Oh. Yeah. Did you like hurt your back bending down so low, or?
No, what sucks is like you backdoored me anyway. Like you countered my backdoor to death, which I think I knew was a likelihood of attacking you, but I did it anyway.
Yeah, fair, cool. So my thing is funny. So I also asked Beck this, and I think we believe the same thing. I think the 9 attack people will win.
Yeah.
I don't think any of the 10 attack or 11 attack people will win.
If you did believe that, you would have 10 attacks, is what I tell myself every day. Like,
yes. So, like, for me, not in any particular order. So Beck is a big question mark because he hasn't played yet, and it's almost 3 a.m. in the UK. So I don't think he's going to come back given what happened with Mark and, etc. I think he named one of his mercs. Let me see. I don't care at all anymore. Love you, Mark. Yeah, sorry, brother. Yeah. So Beck, if he plays, I think he's top 5 material easily. And then I have myself, Forshard, Frost, and then I have 4 people kind of in the last place. So I have Lancelot first because he's doing really good. He's really solid. It almost doesn't feel like it's him. It's like a different player entirely. Like all of a sudden, like dude, like clicks Straker and dies and doesn't care, goes to like hyper focused and just really strong. So, I put Lance in there, but then I also put Butterfly, who was Caterpillar. It's gonna be so weird. I've been saying I'm such a I say the word caterpillar way too much in my daily life because I'm talking about caterpillar. And I don't think any human, normal human, says caterpillar as many times as I do. But caterpillar, and then I put Weed Wizard and Cantaloupe in there as well because they're 9 rushers that seem to have a very sound game. They seem like they're experienced and have done this before. So I think any of them, can pull out ahead if they have a strong endgame, and they all seem to have fairly good fundamentals on how to play. So I asked Beck, and Beck's list was pretty much the same as mine. He had himself, me, Forshard, Frost, and said Jib because Jib is Jib. That was his word.
Good call.
Yeah, right. Jib because Jib is Jib. And then I told him that you suspect Jib is YB, or you like you 100% believe Jib is YB, and he was like, "Yeah, I'm not surprised."
So I think he played a lot of prime Jib seasons, so he probably is very familiar with peak Jib.
Yeah, he has not played against YB.
Okay.
So it was really weird. I told him playing against YB is absolute hell. But he hasn't experienced it. But I think he's experienced Jib enough to know that Jib is Jib.
Okay.
Jib is Jib. Yeah. And then Achilles. Achilles was on the call as well with Beck and myself. So I asked him. So he said me, Crush of Demons, Frost, Forshard, and Achilles. Put himself in there.
Crush of Demons is a good one because he was on neither of our lists last season and then moved up into the top 5 and kept moving up and stuck there the whole time. The whole last 2 weeks.
Number 3. Yeah, I wonder how Crush of Demons will play this season. He played that like crazy tightrope build where he's only 1 melee merc. And so, yeah, I want to see if he does that again and how he feels doing that when everyone has a bigger front line.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I remember like randomly losing to him a lot. It really sucked. But yeah, that's HD for you. A lot of different things can happen, and a lot of user inputs can also happen. So it's anybody's guess.
Did Achilles predict himself in the top 5 before that accidental 10th attack, or after?
No, after.
Interesting.
After. This was a few days ago. Yeah, I told him, like, hey, we're going to do this podcast, and this was a few days ago. And then, if you are interested in some new material, you can go to the Beta Museum. You can check out a new stat. Yeah.
Let's see. 2.5 new stats, actually.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So what do we got here? Do you want to introduce the new stats?
So I'll start with the oldest active nobles here. We just had, up until yesterday, it was just the top 10 oldest accounts in the High Descent database. I added a new qualifier in there. You have to have logged in once in the last 3 months in order to qualify for the list. Because, like, who cares? Yeah. Who cares about lists of people who haven't played the game in 8 years? So, that brought in everybody after Nova on this list is new. So, Zeratul, Frost, Lancelot, and Donut are now the new top oldest players in the game, which I thought it was just better to have active players on here.
Yeah, that's totally awesome. Yeah, and Bing.
Yeah, I don't know the last time he played, Webby. But he checks in regularly, so that's great.
Yeah, totally. And Webby was here in Feb.
Oh, very cool. Did he say anything? I missed that.
No, I don't think so.
I believe Webby quit High Descent at some point and started a rival game.
HaloCrusades.com. Sorry for mentioning the URL. I want to look at this game.
Is that Webby's game?
Looks like it's Xbox. It says join my game now, HaloCrusades.com. But
Oh,
I think it has to do with the Halo franchise.
Okay. I feel like he had a web game before that game, so...
Okay. Well, his name is Webby, so not too surprised. Yeah. And then if you go down there, we have jousting leaders and jousting losses.
Which I feel like I was on the leaderboard yesterday, and I am now 3rd on the losses because I lost every joust I did today.
Wait, what the heck?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Look, that's so unlucky.
I just pushed the wrong button here. But I have 0 gold right now.
Wait, you actually have 0 gold?
Yeah, I jousted, and then I only had 51 gold left because I couldn't joust the max anymore. I jousted 51, and it's gone.
Oh my goodness, I'm sorry.
So I lost, I had to have been 700 gold.
Yeah, go to the Hall of Justice and declare bankruptcy. And then all the other nobles can buy your mercs and stuff. Oh my goodness, I'm not on either list.
Yeah, I don't see you in the
I'm
top
positive.
10 after winning like 2 seasons in a row for jousting.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe there's a correlation. I want to see if there's a correlation between like jousting success and like game placement.
Well, Professor X is leading jousting, so I think that kind of puts a hole in your theory.
No, you can't say that. This is public. That's funny. Yeah, so I mean, you got to joust every day. I think jousting is positive expected value. You just got to do it. And don't worry if you're negative 159. You'll be positive soon.
I feel I'll be positive. I think Scotty Dog and Renegade Monk are intentionally trying to lose to be on the top of this leaderboard.
Oh my god.
Well, I thought that until today. Well, Scotty Dog moved up because he was leading yesterday, so he had a good
leading
day.
As in like
leading the losers, yeah.
Okay. So guys, we developed a really novel idea in the museum, so we want to run this by you. So definitely comment on this video or tell us what you think on the boards. Okay. So this is like the same thing as running a digital ad, on like paid digital advertising. So how it works is there's a leaderboard, and in order to appear on the leaderboard, you need to spend 1 gold. But you can bypass other people on the leaderboard if you spend more gold than them. So you're just basically buying an ad for yourself with leftover gold that you probably never use anyways, unless you're shiny because you have 0 gold. Yeah. What do you guys think of that feature? Should we add this and like make it fun?
We were just talking about it last night, and then I slept on it, and waking up this morning, I was like, you know what? I don't know if you've ever played Mario Party, but there's maps in Mario Party where you have to pay a toll to go over the bridge, and then every subsequent person has to pay 1 more gold than you paid. So you could go through, if you had a whole bunch of coins, you could have put 100 coins down, and then the next person's got to pay 101 to do it. So it's kind of that same, similar, silly concept.
I think that'd be hilarious. It sounds like you've lost a few friendships playing Mario Party.
Oh, it's been a while. That was a fun game.
Okay. Yeah, Mario Party, it's so competitive. It gets so competitive, and it's like the game is like press the B button faster than the other guy. And then you just want to, yeah.
You're a little bit younger than me, but I had the N64 version of it, and I don't know if you ever played that one.
I grew up on N64. Yeah, I grew up on N64.
But the original Mario Party had that one where you had to rotate the joystick as fast as you can, and using the palm of your hand, just burn the whole. I still have a hole in the palm of my hand from that.
The N64 had so many legendary games.
It really did.
Yes. But I was telling Shiny yesterday that I believe HD is a really unique game. Like, out of all the games I've tried, there's nothing really like HD, and I can't think of a game that uses the same type of critical thinking. Fascinating game.
And it's so dynamic is really what makes it even more fun.
Yeah.
Unless you're Tim.
Shoutouts to Tim. Shoutouts to Tim. Hope you're doing good. And, yeah. Do you want to, actually, can I talk about the HD trainer?
Yeah.
At the end, too? Yeah. So, I don't think I've mentioned this to a lot of people, but we can put it out here and see what the community thinks of it. So, this is, if you've ever played chess, there is a practice tool called the chess puzzle, which gives you a position on the board, and you're supposed to evaluate the most effective move in that position. And sometimes it's a series of moves that you have to see. So we thought it would be cool to have HD puzzles where we would just take builds from people. It could be from like past seasons, at least on the same patch, or even a different patch. Past seasons, even like yesterday or today, and ask them to evaluate as quickly as possible who's going to win this fight. We can turn it into a series of things like who can get the most correct in a row without failing, or who can get the most in a minute, or you can just go around and kind of just play and see how sharp your understanding of the game is. And we can. I mean, some battles are 50-50, so you never know. So you could lose by accident or something. So maybe in order to determine an outcome, we can run it 10 times and just say like, oh yeah, it's been run 10 times and team A wins, right? As long as we're not simulating battles that are happening today, so that people can't like reverse engineer their battles and be like, oh yeah, this is my build, and like, yeah, I'm against Azrael, like, what's up? You know, like, as long as they're more than a day old, I think it would give people a lot of chance to practice their vision for the game and their anticipation for game outcomes in fights. You never really experience the outcome of a fight unless you're in it. Or if you know the stats of people's mercs and you're reading one of their like public logs. Like the opportunity to evaluate positions in HD is very limited to what you're currently playing. So it'll allow people to look at the game from other people's perspective too. Yeah, I think HD puzzles would be really cool. And I mean, it's just the permutation game. So you could just like permute them everywhere and see how it goes.
I do like the idea of assigning a percentage to them because, like, we all know what should win, but you know, not everything in High Descent is 100%. Let's go back to Frost and Straker. That was a 1 out of what was it, 750 chance of losing there.
I think it was like 500.
Yeah, 500. I mean, it was
450, 500.
It was pretty long odds. Yeah.
Yeah, it was bad. Oh my god, I paid Straker really good for that one. That's rough. Like that's absolutely rough. So yeah, I think that would be really cool. So yeah, definitely let us know in the comments or the Discord what you think of a feature like this. It would be really helpful for people to just be on HD more, right? If it was like inbuilt into HD, then people will just be online and like, you know, it could be a thing in the pub, like oh yeah, this guy's playing like HD puzzles or something. Or we could call it something nice. We'll think about it. But yeah, I think like a mini game like this would be really fun. All right. So yeah, I think we reached the end of this segment. That was the season 144 check-in. I think the next segment we're going to run, people will be 10 days deep into by level 20. And so we'll see maybe some of the top players attacking low to mitigate risk, or maybe even getting an accident and losing a fight. You know, we'll see who gets mad. We'll monitor Discord very closely, see who gets mad, and then invite them onto the next podcast so that they can retell their experience of being mad. Do you think we need like an HD Rage text channel where people just complain about bad stuff that happened to them?
I mean, that's kind of what the spam channel is, but I wouldn't mind having a Rage channel too.
Okay, like as long as it's civil.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, the spam channel is mostly Caterpillar writing really offensive things that rhyme. And now they're talking about sports, I guess, and now they're brainstorming ideas. I guess that's a spam channel. Yeah, we need an HD rage. Yeah, we need a rage channel where it's just like if you lose an attack, you can just vent, and other people can like help you get over it. Right, hold on. I'm gonna make one right now. Text channel HD rage.
Nice.
Okay. All right. So we have a new HD rage channel. So yeah. How do you feel HD rage, by the way? Before we end this, like, when you lose an attack, how do you feel? Do you have like a physical like feedback or like?
Historically, I am like I guess it's most akin to like playing poker on tilt. I mean, that's the best term for it. Is if I lose a battle that was a stupid attack, then that's on me, and I can live with that. But if I lose an attack that I am certain I should have won, then I tend to make dangerous attacks immediately after that because it's like, well, you know, if this guy could beat me, I could certainly beat you. Like, and then, like, then it turns into 3 losses. Is how that has historically gone for me.
Yeah, I feel like, you know, that twitch of anger, and then like I feel like hitting the table. I've probably like slammed my table before.
Oh yeah.
Let's see. Have I thrown anything? Probably not. And then like your heart rate goes up, and then you're like reading the log, and then you're like squinting at when you get crit.
Yep. Don't start attacking
Yeah.
everybody else. Just close the game. Go do some chess
close
puzzles
the
for a
game.
few minutes.
HD puzzles. HD puzzles. Yeah.
I don't think
yeah.
anybody's in the mood to do an HD puzzle immediately after a loss.
That's true. So we need HD tic-tac-toe.
There you go.
Yeah. It's just tic-tac-toe in HD. And you can play against other people in HD.
We'll have to see if tic-tac-toe was around in the Middle Ages.
No. But actually, let me see. When was tic-tac-toe invented? 1300 BC.
Oh, dang.
That's what Google says.
Yeah.
Oh, games played on the 3-in-a-row boards can be traced back to ancient Egypt. 1300 BC. Nice. I think chess existed back then as well, but not in the modern... Yeah. 6th century. Yeah. And maybe it just didn't look like the way we expect chess to look like now.
Although many religions banned chess playing during the Middle Ages. So there you go.
Yeah, those weren't very smart religions. Yeah. You know what's really funny? Like, we're looking back at the 12th century and we're like, oh, look at these stupid mercenaries. They're fighting over land. Like, he has an axe. And like, do you think like 800 years from now, like whoever's surviving us will be like, look at these idiots playing their computer games. We're gonna make a video game about these poor losers that are on their computers all day. Like, do you think that's gonna happen?
It'll be something we can't even dream of the concept.
It's gonna be about like corporate America. It's gonna be like, oh, look at this dude. He just got yelled at his boss because he wanted a promotion, and like he has like absolutely no backbone. He just keeps getting abused at work, but he keeps working there because he just wants that promotion. Yeah, it's maybe 800 years from now that'll be the HD, and the bi-level rushing is gonna be like, like dude getting a promotion at work. I don't know. Fascinating. Okay, so definitely give us some feedback on some of the new features. The gold thing is really silly, but I think it'd be really charming and funny. HD Rage. If you get mad, just go there and let us know about the puzzles. Not sure how big of a priority it is, but it could be cool. All right. We'll see you in 10 days.
Very good.
And I won't see you in HD Rage, right?
I'm going to be perfect this season, and I'll just win with a flawless victory. So
good, me too.
No rage to be had.
Nice. All right, see you everyone, and we'll be back with more content soon.
All right, thanks for joining me, Phil.
Yep.